money at stake and should be quite a showcase of talent.
Yeah, there's a lot of good drivers from all over the country representing all the different teams, and I'm happy to be a part of it and be invited, and I can't wait to get out there.
What do you think of this Eastern Creek karting circuit?
Oh, it's a fabulous facility. They've got so many different combinations of tracks. The facilities are first class. You can't find anything like it anywhere in the world.
Welcome to Heat 2 of the Clubman Lights. Some fabulous karting racing coming up from Sydney's Eastern Creek Karting Raceway. A big field of karts, some very big name drivers as well. This promises to be an absolute beauty. Gee, they're well behaved too, aren't they? Look at the lineup, everybody very neatly positioned. We get set for a start. And this is an extremely fast little racetrack. Oh, great onboard stuff here. This is going to be fabulous. What a view we're going to get of this, Nathan. They blast into this big left-hander. The bike's also on today. Kind of an interesting mix.
Yeah, we'll have them coming up a little bit later on in the show with their endurance race. But the man out in front at the moment is Neil McFadden. He's the state champion in Clubman. And we're on board now with Troy Hunt. He's 10th. He finished 10th in the World Championships this year. Boy, some great pictures there. In front of him looks like Nick Aglin. He's just making the pass on. All of the guys running in this category are from the Formula A. This is the best of the drivers here at Eastern Creek. And, of course, they're in the category which provides the closest racing.
Brendan May sitting in the second spot, right up the clacker of the number 59 cart, and everybody falling into that slipstream. Oh, big move up the inside. Look at this. This is fabulous on-board stuff. It gives you an idea how much they do cut the corners. Whoa, he made some ground there. Oh, he's got the helmet, the camera mounted on his helmet, has he?
Yeah, he's got the camera mounted right on the top of his helmet. And the interesting part here is you've got to watch Troy Hunt. Someone coming off the grass. Troy is one of the quickest drivers out there. However, he started number 20 from the back of the field, and he started to work his way through. He was very, very quick in qualifying, and we should see some great pictures behind the number 23 now, working very, very hard. Will he get by?
That was Tim Moylan in the 77 that came from Bush back to the racetrack. This is fabulous. It'll give you an idea, too, of just how much he looks around. The number 5 cart under siege just at the moment. Looking through my list of drivers, can't find it. James Harrigan. Oh, look at this. Punted off the circuit. It's frantic in there.
Well, look at this. Talk about bush bashing. He's still on it. The 29 car back on the racetrack and cuts the corner on. Oh, we got contact.
Oh!
Nearly chucked the thing out of the car. And I tell you what, he's not happy. That's Troy Farley involved there as well.
And
Tomlinson walks over and says, watch where you're going, son. Not impressed. Let's take a look at this on the replay. Comes down, it'll be a touch of wheels. Whoa. Yes, the car hikes over. Tomlinson cops it in the helmet. Boy, that could have been very nasty indeed. Now, I think you'll find, Wade, that Troy Hunt was behind that incident. We should get a replay from the onboard camera.
Oh, man, watch how high the 23 gets here. How lucky not to actually go over. Look at that. Whoa, you can see. Oh, yeah, he copped it right in the side of the helmet. Now, how much is Hunt looking around? Not at all now. He's concentrating back on what he's doing. Meanwhile, heads up battle out in front, that 89 of Brendan May, just ahead of the number 7 cart, and that is Bart Price. Oh, beautiful move up the inside. This is frantic stuff. In fact, our leader is cleared out. I'm just looking at that. I think it's McFadden out in front, isn't it?
Yeah, McFadden is an absolute talent. He's not only a young guy, clean sweep when he ran in the Junior Intercontinental A, and is the current Intercontinental A champion. So he's an absolute sensation. Was very quick in qualifying. And as you say, he's driving away from the field. Can Bart Price drive through and catch on to the tail of him? But McFadden certainly has cut the string. He's got a big break. On board with Troy Hunt now on the tail of Aglin in the 55 machine. Will he make his way through? Aglin in the Arrow AX6 cart. You can see on the back of there. He's going to make the run down the inside. They've just crossed the start-finishing line, and he's made his way through again. These karts are Clubman's, as I said. They run a 100cc Yamaha engine, and all the karts here running on a controlled Bridgestone tyre, so the competition is very even.
Ben George starting to figure in this one too. So is James Harrigan. You can see a race leader has absolutely run amok. He has left the building. Back through the field. Oh, trouble here. It's one of the Tony karts by the looks of things.
Looks like Ben George there with some drama.
Oh, man,
he's out of this one.
He was flying too. He was really starting to put a run together. So you can see how much they use of the track. I mean, the on-helmet shots are giving us an idea of that as well, but they are right over the edge of this circuit. Certainly far better suited than the bikes will be later. Bart Price, the number 7 cart, running very nicely in second. Back in third, it's Brendan May. Your race leader is Neil McFadden, who is just flying away with this.
Yes, he certainly is. Back through the field there at the moment. There is the number 3 Tony cart of Lyndon Lumbway, and there certainly is a big mix of chassis in this. The chassis are open. Obviously, the engine is controlled. The engines are sealed, and they rev to about 15,000 RPM. but the competition is very close, and that's why it's so impressive that Troy Hunt is coming through the field. He's got Mark Winterbottom in front of him, another one of the guys he's used to running against in Formula A in the number 41 machine. And Troy Hunt is flying, coming from 20th, and he's at least up to 7th or 8th on the racetrack at the moment.
Great passing manoeuvre on the inside. Was it the 41 just then? Look at the inside of Winterbottom. Yeah, he got a beautiful run just up behind James Harrigan. Gee, your reflexes must be so sharp, Nathan.
It certainly is. Hunt just cleans up Harrigan there. Now he's on the tail of the number 19 machine of Scott Hill. And I'm pretty sure it won't be long before Hill is disposed of as well. Troy Hunt is such a talented racer. He went to Japan in August for a Japanese race. There was a scholarship to drive a race car, a proper vehicle at Le Mans. And Troy Hunt cleaned up. Unfortunately, he wasn't Japanese. He didn't get the scholarship. But he won by such a margin that they decided not to give the scholarship. They said, we're here for a true talent. Unfortunately, it's not Japanese, so the scholarship didn't go Hunt's way, nor did it go Japanese.
I tell you, he's very nice background there, Nathan. I'm impressed. James Heinrich is giving out a lot of negative body language at the moment. He just looked over and all but flipped the number 77, the bird, or was it the 27? It was the 27 of Joshua Pontello. And Pontello getting the message big time, I think, that I don't think Heinrich was particularly pleased with him. This is great racing for the miners. Our leader has absolutely bowled away. I tell you what a downer that, unfortunately, he didn't get the scholarship because, man, it sounds like he just breezed through it.
Well, he's got a lot of support from Garry Holt and Eastern Creek Karting Raceway, and he certainly will be a name to watch in the future. He's going to go to Europe again this year and drive with the Tony Kart team, so he's making his way up through the field, and Troy Hunt hopefully will be one of the big stars in motorsport worldwide in the years to come.
Lyndon Lumberway doing an excellent job sitting right in behind this little trio of karts. They get around this place extremely quickly. I'd be interested to know what sort of top speeds.
I'm not sure, around about the 115, 120 kilometre-hour mark, I would say. The Yamaha engine, though, isn't really a purpose-built karting engine. It's basically a water pump, 100 cc's, revs to 15,000 RPM, as I said. But the beauty of this class, it is so close. It is the most popular form of karting in the country. And as I said, on the controlled Bridgestone tyres and everyone with the same horsepower figures, it makes for some great racing. A true talent will come out of this. If you can win in Clubman racing, you're doing well.
Well, Clubman Lights are a little bit more sophisticated in their racing style than Clubman Heavies, aren't they? They are really aggressive, those guys. They put on some tremendous racing. But the Lights doing an excellent job here at the moment. Here's our leader. Nice we get a shot of him. Look at him. He's playing with that kart at the moment. McFadden just power sliding it in, touching the brakes. Looks very much in control, this young fella.
Yeah, running for Skildon Top Kart, he is an absolute sensation. He's only a young guy, McFadden. I'd say he probably wouldn't even be 17. He'd be probably close to that by now. But as I said, clean sweep in the juniors. Is the current Inter-A champion. He's a state champion in Clubman. And he is driving away from the field. It'd be hard to touch.
Gee, it'd be good when he grows up.
There's May at the moment. Now he's got Heinrich coming up under his tail. Looks like he's starting to slow up. Or the freight trainer Pontello and Heinrich working together as two cars. Maybe they're carrying a bit of extra speed. I think May's got a problem because they're absolutely cleaning him up.
Well, Pontello is sitting there in that little bunch as well. It makes you wonder whether they can really get any drafting effect in a place like this where there's no real straight to talk of. Here is May, as you were saying, under a lot of pressure from the 45 of Heinrich. And Pontello is sitting right there in the middle of it. In fact, now we've got 4-5 karts in the middle of it. This is great scrapping for the miners. Here seems to be you need to tighten up coming out of this corner if you can get a run out. But it's such a fast part of the track right through here. You're going to have to be quick. There's the number 3 kart, and that is Lyndon Lumberway, just ahead of Hunt. Gee, he's just putting it into a blinder, isn't he, to come from this far back? He nearly got them both. Oh, look at the body language.
Boy, not impressed with that. 1 lap to go, and you can see the board on display there. Neil McFadden will not be beaten. Absolutely driving away from that. And Troy Hunt, I think he's just blown his chances to make up a few more spots. He's made his way up to 6th from 20th on the grid. What a sensational drive play. When it comes to the final, he'll be pretty tough to beat, but obviously McFadden will be there to give him a big challenge.
What a great last corner this will be. Look at all these cards you've got them banked up for 2nd and 3rd spot respectively. Fabulous racing. Hunt not winning any friends at all with Lumberway. They come down towards the checkers. There is your man, McFadden. He just brains this field. And the Clubman Lights at the Eastern Creek Karting Raceway. Fabulous drive. Great stuff for the miners. Very entertaining stuff.
Well, here at Eastern Creek Raceway, the Honda 3-hour Well, Troy, this is a pretty big event. It's not a championship event, but certainly an important event on the calendar.
Yeah, definitely. You know, this race we're here to win the race. It means a lot to us, and for me, it may be my last race in this class in Australia ever, so we're coming here to do a job, and it's to win the race and hopefully win it in style.
3 heats, then a preliminary, and then a final. Consistency is obviously the byword today.
Yeah, you know, we've had a talk about the strategy of the racing, and in the heat race, it's going to be a matter of conserve and make sure we have, you know, you've got to try and finish up the front, but you also got to make sure that you finish those races, because if you don't finish those races means you have to start a long way back in the pre-final, and makes it a lot harder than what it really should be. So hopefully a few good heat results and, you know, finish up the front in the pre-final, and the final is about 30 laps, so it's a long way to go, and just hopefully, you know, conserve and come through at the end of the race.
You mentioned earlier that this could be your last race in Australia for a while. What's going to happen next year for you?
Next year we're off to Europe to race Formula E for the Top Card Factory team. We'll do the European season over there.
Stepping stone, do you think, into bigger formulas, proper cars, open-wheeler race formulas over there later after your karting experience?
Yeah, I had a meeting with my manager and my boss at the moment a couple of weeks ago. In Europe, it's very hard to make it over there without a lot of sponsorship money, and as Mark Webber and all that are finding out now. So we've decided to come back home after next year and compete in Australia and hopefully make it to V8 touring cars and hopefully make a name for ourselves out here.
What's the strategy for today's race?
Yeah, well, today we're just going to make sure that we have everything running right, and you know it's a pretty precious situation too, because in between every heat race we only have 15 minutes. So, you know, in a usual situation we may change axles, which takes up 20-25 minutes. So this weekend we're not going to be able to have that, and if we do, we're going to have to do it very quick. So very precious situation, and hopefully we can run consistent and then get a good package for the final.
All the best of luck.
Thanks a lot.
The third heat of the day for the Clubman Lights heading your way at Sydney's Eastern Creek Karting Raceway. We've seen some fantastic action from Troy Hunt, who came from the back of the field. This time he starts from 10th. It was 20th last time, and he made his way to 6th. 10th this time. Boy, you'd think he's got to have a good chance in this one way.
Well, you can easily spot him in the field too. He's got the big Dalek kind of helmet going there because he's got the camera mounted on top. He's right up behind Winterbottom now. Let's see how much ground he can make. Frantic racing, Heat 3, the Clubman Lights, and we have a new leader. It's kart number 9, Takyu Bamba, the Japanese driver.
Driving away with it, but he's got a big field behind him. 59 and McFadden there. Now, he was Heat 2 winner. And McFadden, as I said in the previous heat, is a very talented racer. Watch for him to come through the field. And he's already starting at the pointy end, which helps.
Gee, I'll tell you what, yeah, it certainly does. Tell you what, you can have an enormous train wreck just by someone getting out of shape up the front. They are so close. Look at that. There wouldn't be probably 2 seconds in the top 12 karts. Just at the moment, you see Winterbottom trying something. You can get into a turn. Oh, look at Winterbottom. Keeping an eye on him. Here comes Hunt. Pulls out. Tries to dive back across the bottom under brakes. Will he get him? I think he has. There's no room for Winterbottom still to be out there. So Hunt makes up another posse. The Japanese driver, Takyu Bamba, is your current leader. However, McFadden trying everything. Back to number 7 kart, and that is Bart Price. What Price McFadden?
Price. Oh, big touch there. McFadden rides a wheel over the back of over the Japanese driver, and I think he's put him way back through the field. That'll cost him badly. These karts, it sounds strange, but they're very crucial in the setup, and maybe it knocked the steering arm. He's gone way back in a hurry, and now he's got cuts all over the tail of him. Let's have a look at this on the replay. This is from Troy Hunt. He was behind the action. Here comes Winterbottom trying to get the pass back. He's on the outside, all crossed up, and car's having a big spin. I think that's the knock-on effect you were talking about, Wade. They're so close. Something happens up in front and everyone else suffers.
Oh, mate, that could have been really scary. Here comes Hunt. You can see he's got the helmet with the camera mounted on the top. There's the 55 kart back in the field of Nick Aglin. Here we go. A lot of pressure here at the moment for Lumberway. I think it was fairly animated in his... Oh, look at that. They get so close, don't they? The karts get a little bit loose. If there's a bit of a touch, I'll tell you what, you couldn't fit a MasterCard between those 2 karts.
Certainly very, very close racing. Now down the right-hander, the big sweeping right-hander, they'll greet the start-finishing line one more time. You talked before about slipstreaming. It is vital to stay close to the tail on one of these cars, and you certainly can get a slight advantage of a couple kilometres per hour, which will gain you a bit of extra speed for a bit of a tow into one of these corners, and it's vital to link the turns, link the corners here at Eastern Creek Raceway, one after the other. It's a momentum game like many forms of motorsport, and if you lose any with racing so close, you're just going to go back through the field.
Oh, look at this. The Japanese driver, Takyu Bamba, under a lot of pressure. Here comes the pass on the inside. It's Bart Price. We have a new leader, but the field closes right up. I think it was the 39 car of Wesley May right in there as well. And look at Bamba. He is a very busy little boy. They come out of his right-hander. Here comes Hunt looking for an inside pass. Can he get two of them? No. Aglin in the 55 able to close him out. Hunt's going to be thinking, I did this last race, right?
Yeah, Ackland is a very tough racer from Formula A. He's been an Oceania champion. Boy, he certainly came close to pushing Hunt off the racetrack there. McFadden, I think, is holding him up. I talked before, maybe he's got problems with the cart after that contact on the first lap, and it won't be long before both Aglin and Hunt go past him. Boy, Hunt with a look. Now, Hunt down the inside of Aglin, shuffles his one place back. McFadden is next on his list.
I don't very often see the left foot pressing down very often with Hunt. I'm seeing the right leg fully extended quite a bit, but I guess, Hunt, you have to really be aggressive. If you want the corner, you've got to say, this is my corner, and get in there. And at the moment, May is starting to put a lot of pressure on Bamba, the Japanese driver sitting in the second spotty. So just at the moment, McFadden might be on the ropes, but this is a fabulous battle up front. Very different to what we saw in the first race when McFadden was able to run away. I guess you've got to be also very careful, mate, not to scuff the tyres. It'd be really easy to hang the tail out, getting in or coming out, and you rub away your rubber, you're going to be in a lot of trouble late in the race.
Well, the Clubman's run a Bridgestone control tyre, which I think is fairly rigid and does take a few laps to come up to temperature. So I don't think they're as tacky as some of the other race tyres that you can run. But I think you're right, Wade, you do have to look after him. If you look in the background, there is Troy Hunt, up to 4th place. He is charging. Bart Price is out, and I think Hunt down the inside of May there. Yes, I think he's moved his way up to 3rd place, so another run. No, he's on the tail of May, so he's in 4th. Oh, he's pointing now. Now, May, that's good driving. He's let him through. He's realised that Hunt is a lot quicker than him. He's pointed ahead. Wesley made his signal to his left, run down the inside, and he's taken him under brakes.
I've never seen anything like that before in my life. Yes, okay, you're fast to go through. What other form of motorsport do you possibly see that thing? Look at Hunt. He is putting this Japanese driver under enormous pressure. May is still your leader, but wow, that's awfully courteous.
Well, it's pretty intelligent racing from him, though. He would have actually slowed himself up because he would have been playing defensive and wouldn't have been able to take the fast lines. He knows that Hunt's faster. Now we can let him through, maybe copy something that Hunt's doing, try to get a bit of a tow as Hunt takes Bamba. Now this man's on fire, but you see the kart got out of the groove and started to buck around a little bit. Might have cost him a bit of time.
I know exactly what you're saying there as they come out of that turn. I tell you what, Hunt is not going to make himself any friends, but he is going to make a lot of money in this game because he is just so aggressive into the turns. I haven't really seen him lay a wheel on anybody just yet, but gee, I've got to keep harking back to what we just saw earlier then with the 7 car, but then you've got to pass a guy that's obviously faster than you.
Well, Bart Price is the next on his list, and you talked a lot before how you haven't seen some movement from his left foot, but all of his passes have been made pretty much under brakes. Down the inside, what a move, and Hunt takes the lead from 10th to 1st, and I think what you'll see now is this man will drive away from the field.
Yeah, the old race cam's been pretty boring now, mate. Not unless we ask him to turn around and look behind him a few times.
Price looks like he's now slipping back into the clutches of May, who is coming on strong. Interesting, you have a look at the front of May's car. It's missing the plastic nose cone off the front of the cart, and doesn't seem to slow him down at all. I think it's more just so you can nudge on the tail of another cart. Possibly could provide a little bit of downforce, but doesn't seem to be slowing him at all.
Bit of argy-bargy, maybe?
Bit of argy-bargy, that's the technical term for it.
The number 39 cart back in the field, running in about the top 3 at the moment is Wesley May. And Hunt really hasn't opened up a huge advantage. We thought he might have. There is Price sitting in the 2nd spot. GB very determined. May still back in 3rd. We think it's Bamba still in 4th. He's faded just a little after leading very early. Here they come. I tell you what, Price has not let go of our race leader Hunt.
Well, you talked before about tyres. Maybe Hunt is out in front now and he's saying, okay, I can just cruise around, pull it back half a tenth and conserve the tyres. We've still got a pre-final and a final to come after him. I'm not sure whether they have to run the same set of tyres, but with a lot of forms of kart racing, you do have to keep the same set of tyres on the car. So maybe he's backed off conserving the tyres a little bit.
Hunt in front. I hope he doesn't take a shunt.
Oh, you didn't know it. Here we go. Across the start finishing line one more time, and Troy Hunt very dominant here at Sydney's Eastern Creek Karting Raceway. Now it's interesting to note he's supported by Eastern Creek Karting Raceway, and he drives a top kart are based at Eastern Creek Karting Raceway. Maybe a bit of track knowledge.
I'd say he's probably been around this place once or twice, Nate, so he's probably got a little bit of knowledge stored away just there. May is starting to come right back at Price now. these guys are very animated, aren't they? They swing around, they give big stares, and they sort of gesture in all sorts of different directions. So obviously they're very busy, but there's still plenty of time to give someone the dirty look.
Well, it's the closest form of wheel-to-wheel motorsport in the world, and, you know, they don't have rear vision mirrors, so you've got to swing around and see where your competition is.
Well, it's the only really form of motorsport in four wheels where you don't have belts to restrict you from turning around and giving someone the filthy stare. May, beautiful pass up the inside on Price. That was a smoker. He set him up 2 corners before. I heard what you're saying earlier about linking corners together. That's what he did. Was able to put a beautiful entry into a beautiful exit and get the pass.
And he did it at a perfect time as well, with 1 to run. The last lap is on display. Now Hunt's starting to drive away from him. I think it's more the fact that Price was defending the line a little bit and he slowed the 2 karts up. 2 karts can travel faster than one when they both work together, but obviously if you're trying to hold up the guy behind you, you are going to naturally slow down. Will Price throw it on the line for the final corner? I don't think so. Troy Hunt will take this convincingly. He gets the win here at Sydney's Eastern Creek Karting Raceway. Great drive. Look for him in the final. A fantastic run. 2nd place to Brendan May, and 3rd across the line, Bart Price.
Well, that's just a commanding run, really, isn't it? There is our leader, carrying Racecam. Fabulous drive. The final's going to be a corker.
Well, Chris Lowry, one of the favourites for today's Eastern Creek Kart Enduro in the Resa Light category. What's the strategy for today's event?
There's a lot of laps. We're going to be starting from different grid positions, so it's going to be consistency at the beginning of the day, and even at the end of the day, it's a long final. We're going to have to be consistent and really just try and stay up the front for you the whole time.
It's a pretty challenging circuit here. How hard is it to keep your concentration and to really keep the edge in a long final?
Yeah, being a long finals is going to be hard to do it, especially at this track. Doesn't give you any time to relax. The straights aren't that long, so you're really working the whole time. We're just going to have to rely on hopefully being fit enough to make it and really concentrating as hard as we can.
Fitness is a pretty important factor. What sort of fitness work do you do?
I train every day for this. We go running, do weight training, all that sort of thing, but it really is important. If you're not fit, you won't be up the front.
Who are your main opponents today, do you think?
I think it's going to be quite close between quite a number of drivers. It's hard to say now. We've had some practice this morning, but I think it's really going to be open. Everyone today is, and we're just going to be up the front.
Well, we've seen a couple of heat races from the Clubman on today's program. A new category for us now, the Resas. These things are a little bit quicker than the Clubman, however they run different tyres and different engines, and it's not quite as close. This is actually the final for these guys, so it's do or die.
Late in the afternoon too, so you get the feeling if anybody's got a little bit tired, now is not the time to make a couple of mistakes. Very big field. Good to see. Dan Abbott, Matthew Muller, Peter Lawler, Jack Lynch, Larry Diamond. Hey, the list goes on. Didn't quite get a shot of our lead up. Back in the field, the number 33 kart running in second is Matthew Muller. Matthew Muller, I'm not really sure which. Muller will do.
Chris Law is our leader at the moment in the number 11 machine, and he certainly pulled out to a big gap. The difference between these karts and the ones you saw before, the actual karts themselves can be similar. It's an open chassis rule, but the engines are a PV50 PCR engine straight out of Italy. So they all run the same engines. They're a little bit higher in the performance. They rev to around 17,000 RPM, which is an awful lot, as you're well aware, and they run a different tyre, a Dunlop control tyre, which is actually a little bit tackier than that of the Clubman's. However, because the kart's a little bit higher in performance, the racing is not as close.
A little bit more expensive, would you think?
I'm not sure on the price range. The chassis would all be the same between the Clubman's and the Resas, but I'd say if you're getting an engine out of Italy as compared to a Yamaha water pump, I think they'd be a little bit more expensive.
Tim Wheatzel back in the number 53 kart. There is the number 9 of Larry Diamond. He's hoping to shine today. Back to the main straightaway. Here comes the number 6 running against Peter Lawler. The number 16 kart. Just ahead of him is Dan Abbott. Dan doing a pretty neat job just at the moment. Late in the day, Nate, these are physical karts. Any form of motor racing can be physical, but especially at a tight little place like this where there's no real rooms to rest, concentration could be a problem as you get a bit tired.
Yeah, I'm not sure how low the sun is set too, but sometimes a bit of glare through the helmet visor can be a little bit of a drama on occasion. So the 53 kart there, yeah, you see it's just starting to drive away. This is also a big race too. It's around about 25 minutes in length, so it's a big race. It's going to be quite tiring and quite physical on the drivers.
This racetrack compares pretty favourably with any place in Australia. In fact, it would be one of the best circuits in the country, wouldn't it?
Well, the beauty of Eastern Creek Karting Raceway is the variety of racetracks you can have. Total length is around about 4.5 k's. There's a bit of a move up the inside there from the number 6 machine, but the variety of racetracks you can have, it's got so many different link roads that there's always a different track you can run at. And I would say quite easily that Eastern Creek Karting Raceway would be the premier facility in the country.
Jack Lynch trying it on big time at the moment with the 53 of Wheatsel. Oh, look at this. Interesting move right through the inside. He's very aggressive, is Peter Lawler. And Jack Lynch as well on the 31 kart. Head back in the left-hander. A good battle here between the 33 of Matthew Muller and the 16 of Dan Abbott. I tell you what, those helmet neck restraints, or horse collars as they call, would come in very handy late in the day.
I'd say they would. The G-forces that these karts pull are quite phenomenal, actually, and I would say the helmet would become rather heavy at the end of a long race like this one. The final, I think, is around about 25 laps, so they are a very, very big race indeed. I actually think that Mauler's a little bit slower at the moment. I think he's holding up the number 16 card of Abbott. Dan Abbott, I think, is not long before he's going to make his way through.
Sits a lot lower in the cart too. I get the feeling, oh, good move. Right from the inside. Oh, gee, I tell you what, he was very keen to get back and just cut off that line. Now Muller falls back. Uh-oh, trouble for the 53 of Tim Wheatsel. Hope I'm saying that correctly. Bit of a drama in kart racing. You have to, unfortunately, pick up your own kart and carry it off the track. Number 6 cart is beautifully turned out, isn't it? Peter Lawler. Magnificent red and yellow shades.
Oh, can you believe it? The race leader has left the racetrack. I think I heard prior the engine zing a little bit, so possibly he's dropped the chain, and that's Chris Lau. He's left the track, and you saw him sitting in the cart, slunched over. The attitude said it all. Very upset. He had this race won. He was miles out in front, and it's just bounced the chain off the thing. That hands the lead over to Dan Abbott now in the 16, who's driving away from Muller.
Jack Lynch back in the field. He was the aggressor in that earlier confrontation. Mind you, just look at the lead. This guy is going on to bigger and better things. Way out in front, Dan Abbott. Muller back in the second spot. Lawler is one to watch as well. Lynch back then to Diamond, and I think it's Nicolo. Fortunately for Lau, as you said, his day ending very early. Very tall-looking driver, by the looks of things, the 33 of Matthew Muller. Sits up very upright in the car.
Yeah, that might cost him a little bit in top-end speed. He's obviously a bigger lad than the guy in front of him. He probably carries a little bit more weight in the cart. He's got a bit more wind drag. You can see Abbott is a lot lower, and probably the fact that he sits a bit higher for Muller will cost him a couple of Ks. There's not big horsepower, around 18 to 20 horsepower, but they're extremely quick. You think about how close you are to the ground and the intensity of the racing. It feels as fast as a lot of the guys that are on V8 supercars. You know, the closeness and the speed of the racing, it's great out there.
Well, anybody that's worth their salt in any form of motorsport has spent time doing just this, and a lot of those laps. I mean, you look at the true greats of a Formula One, of Ayrton Senna's and Alain Prost's and people like that, and Schumachers were champion karters. I mean, this is where you learn the craft. This is where you learn how to hold a line, how to claim a corner. I tell you what, I'm watching. There's a very quick path right there. Seemed to be very easy to make a mistake going to that Honda turn just there. If you're getting tired, that'd be the place you'd end up washing off the track.
Pepsi Australian karting champions of champions here at Eastern Creek Karting Raceway. Certainly provides some fantastic racing, but I think this man, Dan Abbott, driving away from the field, it's going to be hard to stop.
Yeah, I don't think Muller's got any answer for him, and I certainly don't think that Peter Lawler is going to have to pull something awfully special out. There is Muller back in the second spot. Lawler is in third. I think it's Jack Lynch and Larry Diamond filling out the top 5 just at the moment. And you can see some long shadows being cast here. And it's been a pretty good day's work for this man as he comes out. But you've got to wonder, would he have run down Chris Lau?
Well,
we'll never know, I know, but hey.
Well, it's pretty hard to tell, as you say, but there's every chance that he has. He's got clear traffic in front of him, but Lau certainly stretched the legs nice and early. He obviously had the performance to stay out in front. He had a big gap, so it's hard to tell. Lau, unfortunately, if you've just joined us, has gone out of the race. Unfortunately, was leading by a long shot and looks like he's dropped the chain. You saw the driver there, number 6, and the Techno reached down, put his hand over the airbox. He's just choking the engine. What it does is it puts a fresh flow of fuel into the engine, cools it right down. These things rev to 17,000 RPM. And you choke the airbox, cuts the air off, puts raw fuel in, and cools the motor down.
I think Lynch is starting to make some ground here on Lawler, just watching in the background there. And I think it's the 31 car sitting. You can tell it's starting to get pretty dark at this place now. The shadows are starting to really play havoc with these guys. Yep, it is Lynch back in the 31. I'll tell you what, if Lynch even gets a sniff, from what I saw earlier, this guy is the Russell Ingall of karting racing. He will get right in there and give it a real run.
Well, all that you see there wasn't quite choking the airbox, and I think he might maybe making adjustments to the fuel mix, just some slight adjustments, maybe richening it up a little bit to keep it safe. You don't want to lean it out because big race in the final, he could burn the thing up. Maybe he's just making it a bit fatter, realises that he's towards the end of the race now and he wants to conserve the engine, make it to the finishing line. Could be costing him a little bit of performance because, as you say, 31 is starting to drive right onto his tail a Lynch. Maybe you were right to say he's got a bit of a sniff. He's decided that he's going to have a go at this one.
I tell you what, he'll have a crack if he even gets remotely close. I saw him in the early part of the race. He was really giving the rest of the field some curry. Head down, trying to get as little wind resistance as possible. I've got to tell you, this is a long race, especially for this guy out in front. It's just a walk in the park. He will be dead set lonely.
Yeah, Dan Abbott, though, it's hard to sometimes stay focused when you're out in front because